segment, we are talking about our cocoa farmers this morning. It's a disturbing story that has been picked up so far by the international portals as well as the media here in the country about farmers basically saying that they've not been paid some as far back as November for cocoa that they've already made available. And already, as is usual here in Ghana, there are accusations and counter-accusations that are being put out there in the public domain. I have read from some former officials at Cocoa Board who attribute this to a change in the system that we have, particularly the decision not to go for the syndicated loan. They have attributed it to that, making the point that that meant that we didn't have money readily available. And then some have also explained that we opted for that situation because we already owe some of our dealers in advance. So we've taken money already. The cocoa that we've basically sold that in previous seasons we couldn't make available to them. So basically we are starting the season with a need to supply cocoa to some individuals. And so if you go for another loan and you have the interest rates to still be very high, it comes with its own challenges. All these are matters that are troubling that we have to talk about. And for those of you familiar with the IMF and what it's doing in terms of Ghana, restructuring Cocoa Board is one area that the IMF has also complained about. They've talked about the high debts. They've talked about Cocoa Board spending in areas that are not particularly beneficial and the need to make sure that it's a bit more efficient. And all those are issues that dominate the discussion. We heard from Cocoa Board this week as well. Dr. Randy Abbey, the CEO, actually spoke right here on New Day explaining the situation and making the point substantively that the finance minister is trying to get some funds, make it available for them to make it available to the farmers as well so that we don't have the challenge worsening on our hands. All these are aspects of the conversation that we'll be looking at this morning. And we'll start off the conversation. I want us to listen to the minority in Parliament first. They had a cause to address a news conference to touch on these matters.
Cocoa Board and government must be blamed for failing to reimburse various cocoa buying companies for purchases already delivered to Cocoa Board. The LBCs have borrowed from banks and off-takers to pre-finance the harvest, but as we speak, Cocoa Board owes the LBCs over 10 billion cedis, being defaulted receipts of cocoa already taken over. The reality is that farmers are not being paid for their cocoa sold to the Mahama-led NDC government since November last year. From the Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, trying to assign several reasons why farmers cannot be paid. Among the reasons was that the previous administration defaulted in the payment of the syndicated loan contracted for the 2023-2024 cocoa season, and that the current administration could no longer access the facility. I was surprised that this was coming from the Chief Executive. It is absolutely untrue. If the Chief Executive has any evidence that Cocoa Board has defaulted, it should provide that evidence. Call on government and Cocoa Board to pay our cocoa farmers immediately for all cocoa beans sold and to be sold to save the cocoa industry from slipping back to days of despondency and loss of interest. We demand an apology from government and Cocoa Board for this gross dereliction of duty.
You had a minority in Parliament there. I want us to also take a listen to the cocoa buyers as well. They've also been explaining what is accounting for the situation.
Since 2013, Cocoa Board has become a dumping ground for political food soldiers. The one very professional organization with top-notch technocrats with deep institutional memory has lost its shine due to the depth of knowledge available. Hitherto, only the Chief Executive is politically exposed, and with time, the 3 Deputy Chief Executives were also political appointees. It is sad to know that there is no longer security of tenure in Cocoa Board, as there is sweeping change in personnel at all levels, including drivers, with a change in government. We want the current funding model to be reviewed so that a hybrid of the old model of securing some syndication facility, that is from local or international banks, to enable real-time payment for cocoa purchased and delivered to port by LDCs. Government must, as a matter of urgency, secure some facility to pay for estimated 300,000 metric tons of cocoa in a phased-off manner between now and September to prevent the crisis deepening.
So first you heard Dr. Isaac Yao Opoku, the ranking member on Parliament's Food and Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs Committee, speaking on the situation with regards to farmers complaining about not receiving payments. Then secondly, you heard Victus Ja, Executive Secretary of the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana. I want us to put a bit of data that the team has been digging around up on the screen now. Very, very brilliant piece of data that puts everything in proper perspective if you are still a bit confused about the state of affairs. And so why Ghana's cocoa farmers are not being paid. And what we've done is that we've categorized it into the funding source, the cash flow to farmers, the cost to Ghana, and the current outcome. And we compare the old model where we used to go for the syndicated loan to the new model, the buyer prepayment model that is being implemented starting from the previous season and now this season as well. And so first, in terms of the funding source, under the old model, the loans were obtained from international banks, went for some $1.3 billion not too long ago. Whereas for the new model, we have 60% upfront payment from global cocoa buyers, and we received $500 million. And so when you compare the two, you see where the immediate challenges. We don't have funds readily available as we used to in times past. And earlier on, I was making a point that some have attributed the switch to particularly the challenge with the fact that we had gone for the loans. We could not even, due to the forward sales we're doing, we could not even supply to some of our buyers. So it meant that when we started the planting season, we owed people that we had to give them cocoa, and we're still signing new deals. And so the decision was taken that, well, why do we even need to go for the loan? Because the loan also comes with its own high interest rate and the challenges that it comes with it. In the course of the show, I'll try and dig up the IMF document and share parts of it with you and what it has to say about this whole approach. But the cash flow to farmers, in terms of the old model, Cocoa Board disburses the funds to the LBCs directly. That was the model then. But this time around, Cocoa Board depends on buyer cash to fund the LBCs. Then the cost to Ghana, the high interest rates in terms of the old model where we went for the syndicated loan, we're doing about $150 million annually. And the Cocoa Board depends on the buyer cash to fund the LBCs. And in terms of their interest issues, no interest, but high risk if the buyers pull out. And the current outcome is that payments were stable but costly with regards to the first thing. It's only a logical conclusion because you have the money even prior to beginning the whole season proper in terms of when you make payments. Then the current model, payments will delay, the buyers may be hesitant, and the system ends up being stressed. There's a bit of connection with the prices, cocoa prices as well, and cocoa prices are not doing particularly well. So you can see the graph on the table now. You see that it's been dropping, and at least from the beginning part of 2026, it's coming all the way down, and we don't know how things will be going into March, but this is how it looks as well. So it also means that within a year, we've done about 60% drop in price. And so that also means that with the current approach that we are experiencing, some of the buyers are also being hesitant about participating in the trade. And so it's also become a challenge on its own. And that will mean that we'll have to deal with it in a different manner. And we heard from the Cocoa Board CEO make the point that what they are trying to do now is to try and find alternate fund. And there's a Reuters report that references the falling international cocoa market, and it makes the point that a global surplus has driven down cocoa prices by around 20% so far this year after a 50% drop last year. in 2024, internationally traded cocoa prices surged by 160%. Under Ghana's cocoa financing system, farmers sell beans to the licensed buying companies that in turn sell them to Cocoa Board, which sells to international traders through its marketing company. And so a source at the licensed buying company told the Reuters that the fall in international prices meant Cocoa Board was struggling to persuade international traders to make advance payments to secure supplies. A second source also said that the farm gate price set annually by the regulator was untenably high, and you understand why, because once the prices have dropped and the farm gate price have already been set high, it means that the buyers would definitely be hesitant a bit. And so the article also makes reference to the change in the system as another problem that the current administration has to contend with to resolve all these matters. And so these are all aspects of the conversation that we intend to look at this morning. Let me introduce you to my guest in the studio. Austin Bracco Powers is a private legal practitioner. Austin joins us in the studio. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. I hope you are doing well.
I'm very well. It's always good to have you in the studio. Also joining us in the studio this morning, Ebo Bachman. Ebo Bachman is Deputy Communications Director for the United Party. Ebo is also into financial and economic analysis. And I'll start this conversation with Ebo when we get into the conversation as well. His team is doing well these days, so he's happy. Good morning, Ebo. And one of Ghana's almost best midfielders. Those days, you don't know. You should ask him. Almost say ABG defense anymore. Like the born in Kobe. Abraham Maliba is a legal practitioner, a Director General National Road Safety Authority, a member of the NDC Communications team as well. Senior, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. You know my team is also doing well now, mind you.
Oh yes. There
has been a tremendous turnaround of fortunes.
Yeah.
And Carrick is doing well. So you need a coach who knows the chemistry and the psyche of the team to perform. And I'm excited. I was here to lambast them and said, is there a team we can beat again? But now we can beat anything.
I remember that lamentation. You caught all of us off guard. We were talking about something else, and you said, unrelated. He just burst out and said he wants to complain about something, and you went after.
Yeah, it's because when Man U is not performing well, my weekends are not so good. So sometimes my children can come around me and I will not be happy. My wife, unless after some time. So it has an effect on me. And so that's why sometimes I'm not able to bottle it up. But things are moving well now.
Yeah, Manchester United, they are doing very well. I watched one of the games, I think last weekend. They won, I think 3-2. Yeah, the football was amazing. The passing. Hey, your coach, you have to employ him and sack him again. The former coach. Yeah, you have to employ him and sack him again.
We are back to the days of the Ferguson days.
Yeah, he scored in Fergie's time as well.
Fergie time, yeah.
Fergie time as well. So that is just by the way. Let's get into the conversation quickly. Let me bring in Ebo. Ebo quickly. Let's start the conversation off. And
it's good to start with Ebo. He's a cocoa farmer, so.
I'm not a cocoa farmer. I'm a fisherman. I'm a typical fisherman. You may want to double as cocoa.
Ebo is our pocket economist in the studio this morning, and Ebo, I mean, when you read all the portals, it tends to point to the current model that we are basically operating, coupled with what is happening on the global scene with regards to the cocoa prices, to be the challenge. You agree with that?
You see, until we begin to say things as they are, and until we begin to put the spotlight where it's supposed to be, we'll continue to have problems in this country. Actually, yesterday, I was so much annoyed when I saw the press conference of the minority. I was so much annoyed, given the fact that they are the very people who created the kind of mess we find ourselves in that sector. I mean, if you look at the way they mismanaged Cocoa Board in the last 8 years, you wonder whether these people have any sense of shame that you go to the extent of having press conference accusing this government and the cocoa board for the very mess that you created. You see, if you are managing an institution, you shouldn't always focus on revenue. You should also look at expenditure and how funds are managed in that institution. Check the records in the last 8 years of MPP. Cocoa board, the kind of things that went into the administration of cocoa board, finances and all that. An institution that could buy sacks to be used for 10 years. What kind of management is this? Look at the way they were dishing out cocoa roots contracts to people. I mean, there was total chaos in that sector. And the very people who did that, that's the kind of democracy should not be encouraged in this country. That you come and destroy, you loot, you steal. After that, you go out there and be accusing the one, fix it. Then if that is it, then anybody can be president in this country. If it's about mismanaging, destroying, and just accusing the one who was taking over to fix it, then we don't have to worry ourselves. Anybody at all can be, any political party or anybody at all can be president and govern this country. So it's quite annoying. You see, so it doesn't lie in the mouth of MPP to ask this government to fix the problem. They should let the citizenry and the cocoa farmers say it, not MPP. Given the kind of mess they've created in that sector. You see, and we should have a system where people will be punished for mismanagement, gross mismanagement, and outright thievery. Because nobody has been punished from that institution. That's why they have the effrontery to be saying the things they are saying. Private sector will manage something and make profit. Cocoa, just buying cocoa and to sell. You don't produce cocoa. Somebody has produced cocoa. Go and buy and sell. That one too, you can't manage it. Then after 8 years, you are now accusing someone who has taken over your mess, trying to resolve your mess. You are accusing the person. You think if they came to meet money, they wouldn't have paid the farmers? So that is the issue. See, just look at this issue of rollover. And that is what annoys me. You've entered into forward contracts to do forward sale. You think hedging is good, so let me hedge. Okay, so now you are supposed to supply a certain quantity of tons of cocoa. You couldn't supply an amount of, I think, 30,000 tons or so. You had money for it too, but you couldn't supply because the money has been paid to you in advance. You couldn't supply. Why didn't you keep the money for subsequent season? When you get money, when you get cocoa, then you buy for them. You squandered that money. That is one leg of it. You squandered that money that you borrowed. Oh, sorry, you received as forward payment. You squandered it. Then, now what is even worse is that because we are now supposed to supply or deliver at higher price, we've lost or it has resulted in book-to-market losses of about 840 million dollars thereabout. And you have the effort to organize press conference in this country. You've let all this mess. Look, the money that was given to you, you've squandered it. Because you had money, you had to engage in buying cocoa sacks 10 years to be used in 10 years. Because you need to spend the money for yourselves. Look at how the road contracts were inflated. And all these things have gone on. And you think, instead of you to proffer solutions as to how to solve the problem, as to how to look at a financing model that will help us to come out of this situation, you are just accusing and saying all manner of things, spewing nonsense and all that. You see, our position as United Party, which we have expressed in our GTP, is that, in fact, even before we had a problem with the syndicated loan, the external one, we said it was not sustainable. It doesn't make sense to listen to this. You buy cocoa in cities. Then you go and borrow dollars to come and buy in cities. Then after that, when you get money, you change it to dollars and you pay back. It means You don't get anything. It's like -1 + 1 is equal to 0.
I mean, depending on if we generally have a stronger currency, it may be a bit different. But normally, we'll not get to that level of the pegging. So.
Yeah. So the point I'm making is that why don't you do the syndication locally? These local banks can finance it. There are local banks here who can finance our cocoa pitches.
$1.3 billion annually.
But see, that's why it's syndication.
Put them together.
Only one.
Yes, that's why. Yeah, different. That's why it's syndication. Now, if you do that, what it means is that now you borrowed in cedis. You are buying in cedis. When you sell, you get dollars. Now the country benefits dollars. You have dollars in your country. You are not going to send the dollars back again. That's how we should manage our situation. We also believe that we should allow the private sector. We should offload some of the shares of Cocoa Board to the private sector. I mean, let's offload some on stock exchange, Ghana Stock Exchange, and other exchanges. Let private individuals also be share owners of Cocoa Board, or even the farmers. We can give them an option for the farmers to also be part owners of Cocoa Board through shares. If you do that, then it becomes collective thing. But a situation where the politicians see Cocoa Board as a cash cow. So when they come, they throw in people who have no knowledge about management. People who have little or no knowledge about management, because that place is a cash cow. That is where they get money to finance their political parties. That's where they give contracts, they inflate contract 2 or 3 times the price. And that has been the system. And it was worse last 8 years under Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration. And so that is why it's quite annoying. See, we need to do proper modeling. We need to have financing model that will solve this problem. It's not just about paying them. Yes, the finance minister should be able to find money to pay them. It's as a matter of urgency. But beyond that, as a nation, let's come together. We have perfect solutions in our GTP. The government can consider it. I mean, they can glean from it. We are not saying take everything, but you can take some of the things you've suggested, add some to it. Let's have permanent solutions to this problem. Because whether you like it or not, cocoa sector is one of the backbones. If you have so many backbones in Ghana, it's one of the backbones of this economy. And therefore, we should have our best. You see, I was telling somebody yesterday, why is it that in Finland, it's the best students who teach, the first class students who teach. In Ghana, it's those who fail and try 3 times who teach.
I mean,
No, I'm coming.
I mean, not all of them are.
Yeah, most of the time. So the point I'm making is that the point I'm making.
My teacher friends to come after me this morning for what you are saying.
No. I'm saying that.
I get a point.
Okay. Some of them. Let me. I didn't mean all of them, but let me make it clear.
I thought briefly.
The point I'm making is that. The point I'm making is that at any point in time we should have our best brains managing our resources, not political appointees who know next to nothing. Let's have our best brains. If you have institutions as important as Cocoa Board, and look at what the president of the association or whatever said, that it's become a political, so now they throw people in there, just go and make sure that we get money to finance our political party activities. It's quite sad.
Do you think, 2 questions, but before I come to the second one, let me just ask you that, I mean, and for those of you, some of you'd like to do politics with everything, so just to put it in context, the syndicated loan, we stopped it in August 2024. It was announced by the former Chief Executive Officer, Joseph Boahi Edu. At the start of the season, even before the September 1, when the season opened, he did indicate that Cocoa Board will not raise a syndicated loan for 2024-2025 season for the first time in over 3 decades. And he goes on to say that we are not taking funds from cocoa traders as well. The money will come locally. We are going to be self-financing. So that was the point that he made. He says, worst case scenario, we'll do a cocktail of self-financing and domestic financing. And so that's what he said in August of 2024. In fact, 20th August 2024. I mean, basically trying to do what you are talking about.
Do you think that, given the situation of Cocoa Board, the balance sheet of Cocoa Board and all that, do you think lenders were prepared to give Ghana money?
I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. That you see, they don't want to tell the truth.
So I mean,
because of the mess, lenders were not prepared to give. Why do you put your money into an institution that is sinking financially?
Okay.
So what they are saying is not they are not presenting the true fact.
Okay, that's fine.
The fact is that because of the mess they created in that sector, lenders were not prepared to part with money to finance our cocoa purchase. That is the fact.
Okay.
And coupled with the fact that this rollover issue, you go and take money, you chop the money. Now somebody will have to come and pay the money. Now pay even more because now the price, I think, was $2,600 at the time per ton. Now it is more. As we saw, it's about 4,000 something. So we have to pay more than twice or almost twice what you would have paid if you had supplied. The price at which would have supplied if you had done the full complete supply in the previous season. So my brother, let's be serious in this country.
And I mean, Ebo was talking about the state of Cocoa Board, and I didn't interject because I mean earlier I made a point that I would share with you what the IMF said about Cocoa Board. In fact, the government of Ghana in the last IMF report, government speaking to the IMF, the government made a point that they are now actively participating in price-setting deliberations. A cocoa desk has been established at the Ministry of Finance. Funding plans will be reviewed regularly and associated with contingency planning exercises. Should downside risk materialize, would ensure that Cocoa Board scales down spending further to ensure a balanced financial position. Consistent with the program design, Cocoa Board will refrain from mobilizing any non-consensual funding and or any collateralized funding except for its annual syndicated loan. We know that did not happen. We have amended the Cocoa Board bill to further strengthen financial oversight over Cocoa Board and ensure policy coherence and the efficient management of resources in the cocoa sector. And so there were challenges with what Cocoa Board have been doing over the period. In fact, they said that they want to limit Cocoa Board's quasi-fiscal activities, which is a nice way of saying that some of the things they were spending on are things that you cannot attribute directly to what Cocoa Board is doing. And the BOG, there's a part of the report that makes the point that the BOG continues to have significant and profitable exposures to SOEs such as Cocoa Board. So Cocoa Board is one of the SOEs that every part of the IMF report that has to do with debt, you see Cocoa Board are being thrown in there. In fact, there's a turnaround strategy that Ghana is currently implementing with the World Bank support to undertake a functional expenditure review to enhance efficiency and prepare a cocoa sector's modernization strategy to improve resilience and competitiveness. Let me come to Austin now. And I mean, Austin, what's your own appreciation of what the challenge is? I mean, at the heart of it all are the poor cocoa farmers. They've gone through the season, their products are ready, they've made it available, and their money is now the problem.
Joseph, the essence of the entire discussion is lost to politics. In fact, the whole conversation is really with politics. All I hear from the functionaries, or I hear from appointees of the governing National Democratic Congress, is politics. All I hear from the minority is politics, politics, politics. What are the issues? Today, as we speak, as of early 2026, spot prices were trading at around $4,100 to $4,300, with futures prices, in fact, fluctuating. So it is no longer feasible for the government to guarantee the farm gate price that was announced in the 2025-2026 season. Don't forget, the farm gate price was 58,000 cedis. Today, if you are to do the math, even if granted the CD is trading, the CD is running against the dollar for maybe at the amount of maybe 11 CD. If you do the math times 4,100 cedis, the government will not be able to pay the farm gate price. That is a major challenge. So, what are the issues? I think clearly the government must go back and renegotiate. This is a simple contract situation. You contracted with them and you agree to pay 58,000 cedis for the farm gate price. Now it's no longer tenable. What do? You must go back and renegotiate. But before you go back and renegotiate, you must pay the accrued rights. The farmers are entitled to the accrued rights. By reason of the fact that they have supplied cocoa beans through the LBCs, the licensed buying companies, to you. But now, when you go to the world market or the global market, you are not able to get a favorable price because of the reduction and fluctuation. So these are accrued rights that you must honor, obligations you must honor. So the government has an obligation to honor. Then going forward, you must go and renegotiate. I always want us to engage in a dispassionate analysis. Joe, the opposition New Patriotic Party, during their press conference, were blaming the government and they were blaming Cocoa Board for the challenge we have. I think this is very dishonest. Because they know that the reason why we are here is not because of the inefficiency of the current leadership of Cocoa Board or the government. It's because of the price fluctuation on the global markets. That is why we are here. Because the government cannot sell cocoa, the cocoa they purchase from the LBCs at $4,100, between $4,100 to $4,300, and come back and say, and even add more money to pay the farm gate price. That would be, that is serious. And again, they cannot blame the government can also blame the opposition, New Patriotic Party, and say that because at your time we were not able to secure syndicated loan, and because of that, because we were not able to get syndicated loan, that is why we are in this mess. I mean, the two sides are not being honest.
I mean, if, as far as I can remember, I mean, we don't recall having a discussion on cocoa farmers not being able to receive it. And I mean, all the materials available, when you read it, it all points to the fact that the syndicated loan appeared to be a bit of a sustainable model. And because of our state of affairs, they say we decided not to go for it again.
In fact, because we've not had the opportunity to do a serious analysis with the syndicated loan, and Bachman hinted on that. In fact, we are incurring a lot of debts. Syndicated loan, you go for loans with, and even through the infographics you displayed, it is not a sustainable model. It's really not a sustainable. We've been able to do that for close to 3 decades, but is it a sustainable model? Why do we go for a model that, in fact, brings in more debt, a model that brings in more debt rather than benefits? It wasn't a sustainable model. So we cannot sit here and blame the syndicated loan. The thing is that, ask yourself, when you compare the farm gate prices over the years, you realize that this government had rather gone for the higher haul. In fact, they've gone for the jugular. Because of politics, they promised to help cocoa farmers and they promised to do the undoable. And that is why we are in the challenge we find ourselves. I think we need to engage in a dispassionate, honest conversation. The problem we have on hand has nothing to do with stopping the syndicated loan or being unable to access syndicated loan. And again, has nothing to do with inefficiency of the current leadership of the cocoa board or the government. I think it has to do with the fact that we promised more to the cocoa farmers. Yet now when we go to the international market, we're not getting the higher price. Yeah,
I mean, but then it comes back to our projections as well. We can't take that out.
That is why...
I mean, of course, there are things that can happen suddenly, but if I don't know if we can bring back the graph that shows the price changes just to put it within context for us to see how the price have been behaving. But then the point I'm making is the projections.
No. So that's what I'm saying, that we need to be honest.
Yes. So you can see how it looks here. And if you start from 2025, you realize that there was a downward trend. Things went up a bit May, July, thereabouts. Then it drops again towards the September. It drops further all the way towards November. You see a slide up there, but it's not really sustainable. Then it goes down again. I mean, so if and I'm sure the team, their desk at Finance Ministry, Cocoa Board, that will be privy to all these numbers that we are putting out there. And I mean, I get your point about the politics and what was promised, but that tells you that at least there is a part of our trading projections that are not within our control, and in deciding what figures to offer and all of that, we should be accounting for it, doing the plus or minus so that we don't do that. But if you recall the price that was fixed, even at the time, the minority even complained that it was still too low. The farmers were not getting much. So it's not just about what is promised. It's also about what is demanded from all sides as well.
The thing is that, and you see, I agree perfectly with you. Sometimes we need to do the math. We have the mathematicians who will look at the global picture and fix the price. Forget about the politics. When the governing National Democratic Congress was in opposition, they were also doing politics with cocoa prices. So the opposition, New Patriotic Party, is also doing the same thing. It's politics. But forget about the politics. Let us engage in fact, and a honest conversation. Was it tenable to fix a farm gate price at 58,000 cedis at a time? Sometimes you look at the because you see, as at 2024, let me say December 2024, and per your graph, the spot price was trading at $10,000, and it plummeted. So when you see, and it plummeted to 8,000 plus. So when it was dropping, if we were dutiful and we wanted to engage in honest politics, we would have fixed a realistic price.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that even at the time, the cocoa farmers said that the price that had been fixed was too low. The opposition said that the government had promised way more than that, so it was still too low. Now we have even realized that what the government even fixed, it would have been better if the government had even gone below that.
Joseph, you know, I am a realist. Sometimes I tend to support certain policy decisions of President John Mahama. Why? Because some of his decisions are realistic, but there are others that are highfalutin. These are promises. These are political promises that are not realistic. The thing is that they will do politics with it, but is it realistic? Can you afford it? Look at the challenges. In fact, if this government had been realistic at the time, do you think we would have found ourselves in this situation? Sometimes we need to engage in honest politics and stop the back and forth, the needless politics and partisan politics that has brought us to where we are, and we're unable to make headway. Joseph, there's another thing I would like to address. I heard the Ghana National Cocoa Farmers Association, the president, say that they are giving government 2 weeks ultimatum within which they must pay their members. Otherwise, they will begin to smuggle the cocoa beans to neighboring countries. I want to tell him that is a threat and that should not be entertained in this country. Smuggling cocoa beans is a crime. Go and read section 317 of Act 29. You cannot smuggle cocoa bean because government is owing you. You cannot engage in criminal activities because the government is owing you. This is something they should, and I'm speaking directly to the president. You cannot engage in this conversation. Whoever spoke on behalf of the Ghana National Cocoa Farmers Association, you cannot smuggle cocoa from Ghana to neighboring countries because government is owing you. You have a contract with the government. There are challenges. I want the government to meet them. These are the challenges. These are trying moments. Joe, these are trying moments. Let's stop the politics. The opposition New Patriotic Party is doing politics with the matter. And I'm telling them that they have no basis for their political gimmicks. They should be blamed if we are talking about the efficiencies. And you were articulated to the World Bank's comment regard to the management of Cocoa Board. We know Cocoa Board was mismanaged. But I'm saying that the current challenge has nothing to do with the mismanagement of Cocoa Board. It has more to do with the international prices. And we must be honest and engage the stakeholders. Tell them that these are the challenges, these are trying moments. Let us negotiate. And I'm saying that, Joe, already the government has the farmers have an accrued rights, which is that you promise them 58,000 cedis for farm gate price. You must honor that obligation. But beyond that, you must renegotiate. The $58,000 58,000 cedis is no longer feasible. You cannot guarantee that you pay them. Looking at the current spot price of cocoa on the international market, government must begin. We need to get a government, and I want this president to continue on the path of honest politics. These are trying times. It has nothing to do with the inefficiencies of Cocoa Board, currently headed by Dr. Randy Abbey. It has nothing to do with that. It equally has nothing to do with our inability to secure or access syndicated loan. It has more to do with international prices. Let us meet with the stakeholders.
Management is part of it.
It is not to be blamed for the current problem. The current problem has nothing to do with that.
I'm not talking about the mismanagement by the current administration. I'm talking about the previous administration's mismanagement. You see, problems don't just occur.
Back one. It has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
With mismanagement.
Let me come to AB, but before then, just a summary. Some of you are asking what exactly Cocoa Board has been saying about this. I indicated Dr. Randy Abbey spoke to us yesterday. He says first that the Cocoa Board and the Finance Ministry are working on solutions to address the delayed arrears owed to farmers and appeal to farmers to be patient while those efforts continue. He says the delays are recognized at the highest level of Cocoa Board and being treated as a problem requiring a coordinated response. Secondly, he attributed part of the problem to financing challenges. He says that the major reason for the slow payments is the collapse of the long-standing syndicated loan model that historically funded cocoa purchases. Under the old model, international financing helped ensure cash flow through the system to the licensed buying companies and then to farmers. Without it, financing has become more difficult and more expensive. And that currently, buyers find Ghana's cocoa to be comparatively expensive, making it harder for Ghana to secure advance funding from international buyers, which in turn affects the ability of the LBCs to pay farmers promptly. And so there's a new financing model that he says is being developed in collaboration with the finance ministry that will stabilize payments and support farmers better. And maybe I'll start off from the contract point that Austin was making to AB. And I mean, if I have signed a contract with government of Ghana for that matter at a certain price, I don't see how I would agree to renegotiate and go out of that. I mean, at the bottom of it is that the farmers need their money, basically. I mean, what do you make of where we find ourselves currently?
Let me say, for the first time on this program with my colleague, lawyer, Braco.
Is it for the first time you agree with him?
For the first time on this program, I agree with him largely with the points he has made. There are only two areas I disagree with him.
Okay.
The first one is saying that we shouldn't do politics with it. I disagree with him because those who raise the issue are politicians. And we must deal with them as it is. And I like the way Ebo dealt with them. The second thing is, I agree with him that we should go back and negotiate with the farmers because the statistics, as you have shown them, cannot support the amount that we promise. But we have an opposition that is hypocritical, that lacks decency, and the third one is that they are opportunistic. Why am I saying this? You adopted what I will call as a Scorch F policy in managing cocoa board. And those who don't know what Scorch F policy is, they should Google and see. Meaning that whatever is found in cocoa board, you appropriated it, took them away, stole them, mismanaged them. You adopted a Scorch F policy in managing cocoa board. In other words, you dug a big hole. And when your opponent came and fell in the hole, you say, why are you falling in the hole? Can't you see the hole? But you are the one who dug the hole. In the latter parts of Akufo-Addo's administration, this indicated thing that you spoke about, where international banks contribute money, it was not possible to go for that because one was that the economy was run badly, such that the syndicated partners had no confidence in the country. And so did not feel obligated to pump in money into the system. You get my point? Then, what is not being said is that they went and took loans from off-takers. Cadbury is an off-taker, Cadbury. You know Cadbury? It's one of them. To give them some tons of cocoa beans. As we speak, they could not supply the amount of cocoa beans. And yet they took their money. It is this government that is now completing or attempting to complete the supply of the cocoa beans to these off-takers. But now, they can't supply at the price. It's now going to be the price that you are showing.
The current price, the market price, the current market price.
This is the handiwork of those who were holding press conferences yesterday. Second, And I've written them here. They went and bought fertilizer, which would feed us, for the want of the right expression, or which can be used for the next 5 years when they took it. When in our stores, there was fertilizer that would take us for 3 years already. There was already 3 years stocks that could take us for 3 years. And the way they did it, as if they knew they were going out of power. I don't know the term. But they made it in such a way that even if a new government comes, you cannot abrogate. I have forgotten the term. I don't know whether it's... okay, I've forgotten, but I explained. I've explained what it is, but I've forgotten the term. You see? That's what they did.
Like they tie your hands.
They tie your hands.
Yeah,
so this current management and their board cannot do anything. They are just sitting there and watching 5 years. When there's already 3 years of stock. The next thing they did was to go for loans to refurbish cocoa farms to a certain acreage. They've not been able to complete the acreage, the money is finished. So you understand why I describe it as a scourge F management of cocoa board. Then you now turn around, and that is how shameless they are. The fact that they will not even think twice and say, but if we say this, wouldn't they say this? Would Ghanaians say this? You turn around, hold a press conference, say, pay the cocoa farmers. So it's as if to say that we knew what we did, and we are now happy that the effects are showing. And so Ghanaians should see the NDC. They cannot pay. And that's why I think that their kind of politics smacks of hypocrisy, lack of conduct, and above all, opportunistic. Look, where we are now is to be realistic with the people of the cocoa farmers. I wouldn't have gone this tangent if it were cocoa farmers who held a press conference and then bring out all these things. My submissions this morning would have been that government, go back and then renegotiate.
And find money to pay them.
Yes, but I can tell you that my sources indicate that the Minister of Finance has been tasked to deal with the funding challenges. When I asked why we cannot go back to the syndicated, the answer was that because we are already tied to this
rollover.
I don't know what that is. I don't know the terms.
The rollover.
But because our hands are already tied to these off-takers, because we couldn't supply all.
Yes, the rollover.
If we start dealing with the syndicate, they can take us to court. You can't start supplying to the syndicated and leave your immediate obligation. He's a lawyer, he knows that. So that's how critical it is. That's how we cannot wiggle our way out of this mess. I think that naturally, and I'm a politician, cocoa farmers are generally allies to the NDC. I think what we should be doing is to reach out to them. Let's reach out to the cocoa farmers. They will understand. Let's not distance ourselves. Let's go to them. Let's renegotiate with them. And then when the prices start increasing, we can even double their earnings. We can even double their earnings for them. But to allow the MPP to play cocoa farmers against the ruling government is the reason why I describe them as hypocritical. They lack decency. I wrote them down. And they are opportunistic. This noisy minority must not be allowed to derail the good things that this president is putting out there, and we are hailed all over the world. I think that they should be caged. And the last thing I would say, well, I'll leave that one. But I would have said that if we had a way, we we should carve out a small part of the country and give it to this minority so they'll be there governing themselves. It should be like Lesotho in South Africa. They are just too disruptive and will not allow good things that are coming to the people. Have you seen Ghanaians going to open their mouth for fuel to enter their mouth, showing that now there's traffic in town. Vehicles that were parked for long are now all in town. Isn't it a good thing for Ghana? Doesn't matter which political party you belong to.
I'm confused. I thought you said you're not going to say it.
but you know me.
Maybe in this element.
I mean, so just quick 1 minute.
Let me make this point. You see, as AB said, in fact, I left the finance and economic analysis of it and dealt with the political analysis of it because of the press conference. And let me make this point. I hear people say that, and this comes from MPP people a lot, that how can opposition party be attacking opposition party and not the government? Let me make this point clear. NDC is not our ally. NDC is our competitor. MPP is our competitor. What MPP came to destroy Ghana. NDC is rebuilding Ghana. I can't ally with the one who destroyed Ghana to attack the one rebuilding it. It doesn't make sense. That is why when this government does well, we praise the government. For example, let me read what I just saw to you, and that is how we should be governing this country. President Mahama has sent this warning to his appointees. He said, woe betide any CEO of any state-owned enterprise who by the end of April hasn't done their audit and presented an annual report. This is the president working, making sure that things are done right in this country. He said, I should align with you, the looter, the John 1010A politicians. I should align with you to attack the John 1010B. The one that has come that we may have life and have it more abundantly. I should join you to attack that one. Does it make sense? We have two spotlights. One is on MPP. It will be on them because their records still speak. Their records still speak. We have one on NDC as well. When they do the wrong thing, you will hear us speak against it. But we will never leave the spotlight on MPP's record. We will let Ghanaians know the kind of mess they cause in this country.
Okay.
And it's very important so the politician will learn that when you are giving power, you govern well.
Okay. Let's do some messages. Then I'll come to you for your brief wrap-up comments as well. Musa Batwa in Asawasi, you say that the MPP should be the last to lecture Ghanaians about the cocoa sector. The disingenuous attitude is nauseating. They messed up the sector and now turn around to blame their predecessors. What kind of politics is this? Let me check the Facebook place as well. The Facebook... Okay, it says what a Chinese proverb says, keep quiet and watch what you think cannot be done. Okay, so that's your message there. He said a responsible opposition is to criticize and propose solutions. And David Brahma, yes, I caught this one as well. John 10A and John 10B. John 1010B. John 1010A and John 1010B. Yes, David Brahma, I also caught that as well from Ebu there. Okay. Bliss Abound, you said that the MPP's policy is to destroy something, and when another government goes through a difficulty in fixing their mess, they gaslight everyone into thinking they are incompetent. And let me come to Braco now, wrap up for me. Yeah.
So, for personally, the MPP press conference added another layer to the entire conversation. But they ended up not making any useful contribution to the conversation. I thought they would have advanced some strategies or solutions for the government to solve the problem. That is opposition moving beyond normal politics, partisan politics, to contributing towards the development of the country. Secondly, Joseph, I have said that the farmers are entitled to their accrued rights. Government is bound to pay based on the contract situation. But today, looking at the world cocoa price, is no longer sustainable. So government must adjust the producer prices to reflect this market volatility. Ivory has initiated the conversation to doing that. And government must do that. Let us not be afraid of the partisan politics that the opposition may want to latch onto. Let's be realistic to the farmers. These are people you are governing. Tell them the real things on the ground. It is no longer feasible, Joseph. And again, I think the partisan politics is becoming too much. Cocoa Board, we need to fix the situation at Cocoa Board. Giving contracts to people who are incapable, and even sending political elements or political people, let me say, foot soldiers to Cocoa Board to run the whole place down ground, because it's a cash cow. We need to have a race. We need to rethink about the whole process, Joseph. Cocoa Board must be sustainable. And you read that Bank of Ghana is complaining that Cocoa Board is one of the state institutions that is causing mayhem, causing financial trouble. You go for, and Bachman was right. How do you go for cocoa beans? And you see, there will always be demand for cocoa beans across the world. Always. How do you go for cocoa beans? It's like going for gold and saying that when you went to the international market, you lost. You couldn't secure, or you couldn't even break even, or even make a profit. This is scary.
It will depend on the prices sometimes, but
it does.
I get the point.
No, it does, but that's what I'm saying, that when you are realistic.
That's why you are managing. It's a management situation.
That's the thing. You get it?
It's a management situation.
And it demands realistic leadership.
Okay.
What I want from Dr. Randy Abbey is realistic and honest leadership, not partisan politics.
Okay. I mean, so far I've not heard him make any
What I fail
comments,
to
so
add
speak,
and to let the people of Ghana even know is they went for cocoa sacks that will last this country for 15 years.
I even said 10 years.
You said it.
So even said 10 years.
And yet, cocoa sacks lifespan is 2 years. 2 years, so because they are sacks, the way they are.
The fiber.
They are fiber. They will get rotten very soon.
You're anticipating a boom.
A boom.
In production that will use all the sacks.
Because of
So
the
if you have,
environmental...
if you have a government that did all these things, wouldn't they, when you watch Nigerian films and somebody has done something wrong and is trying to justify, then you hear them, won't you keep quiet? Can't they keep quiet?
All right. Interesting. You know what? If you go back to the news articles in 2017, I remember before the trial of Dr. Stephen Opuni commenced, you see similar references about expenditure of Cocoa Board. Ebo made reference to the fertilizer contract, AB as well. That came to mind quickly about how we are doing. And I think someone made a point that it's basically a procurement economy that we are running. So when we even have in stock, we want to get more of that. But that's it by way of this discussion. We are all paying attention closely to see how the government resolves this. Assurances so far from the Ministry of Finance and Cocoa Board that they will try and find some funds to deal with this. Just briefly before we go, the Attorney General has announced plans to re-enact the Criminal Proceeds Recovery Act, aiming to strengthen the legal framework for confiscating assets linked to criminal activities. He says the current Act 30 does not grant the Attorney General's office the authority to seize assets connected to criminal enterprises, limiting its ability to fully enforce criminal prosecutions. And he made this point when the Vice President visited his office. Dr. Dominic Ayini said that the office is preparing a criminal proceeds recovery bill that will empower the office to do this. And let me start with Austin. Good move, you would say?
Joseph, I think it's a good move, but it's not new. It's not new. And it's important to point out that there are other legislations where we have provisions bordering on recovery of criminal activities or proceeds from criminal activities. In fact, when you look at the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act, you also look at the Economic and Organized Crime Act, you also look at the Anti-Money Laundering Act. In fact, these acts are linked with provisions concerning criminal proceeds recovery. So it's nothing new. My caution is that let's not make it as if it is only for the Office of the Attorney General, because all these institutions, all these institutions, are even under the Attorney General. The Office of the Special Prosecutor is under the Attorney General. The Yoko too is also under that. So we must be able to, in fact, collate the various provisions and make them comprehensive. If the idea is to make it comprehensive, I think it is in order, because when you look at countries like the New Zealand, they have the Criminal Proceeds Recovery Act. I went through, and it is comprehensive. If that is what we are going for, that would be a good move. But let's not make it a standalone for that Office of the Attorney General. All the agencies under the Office of the Attorney General must be able to assess or invoke or activate any provision of the proposed bill. I think it's a good move we need to step up. But my question, Joe, what has happened to the Dufour case? Recently the Attorney General was saying that people are saying that he may have taken deals at the blind side of the public. What happened to the Dufour case?
He publicly updated that they've reached some agreements. If you mean what means it, you mean that the extent of payment as at now.
Exactly.
Okay, I think that's
because it's a conversation that we need to that needs to be had. Because the thing is that he came out to say that he's going for 60 against and giving them 40. So if you are giving a rebate of 40%, and you are taking.
I don't think it's fair to call it a rebate, so to speak.
No, Joseph.
The agreement is that because the 100, even if you go to trial, you are not certain of recovering 100.
But we were convinced.
The agreement is we've gone for 60. But if you say it's a rebate,
we were convinced,
it's like the money is there.
Convinced about how much that we would have been able to recover from if we had instituted a case against Dufour. I think the Attorney General must come out. In fact, it's because you are not opening up when it comes to some of these conversations. That's why people are saying that you are taking or cutting deals at the blind side of the public.
Right.
Come out, let us know what happened in the Dufour case, how much you'll be able to recover, and let the people know.
Okay. Let me come to AB and AB. This is a question that I'm asking you. You get into the politics, but as a lawyer, I mean, are we not making too many laws? And sometimes there are things that we are working on. You just be there and someone will just spring up and tell you that actually there's a new law here. There's a new law here. Like I've encountered it many times. I mean, we always have something. So, for instance, under Section 35 of the Courts Act, we had compensation and restitution. We decided that, well, we want a plea bargainings bill. We brought it out completely as a new law. Again, he makes reference to the Anti-Money Laundering Act and all the other laws that allows recoveries. Then we again decide, okay, we want a criminal proceeds recovery law. Like, are we not complicating our legal system? Sometimes he would, and there was a very practical situation just this week. I was working on a brief. I just discovered a new law that basically threw everything down off gear. I mean, are we not just having too many laws all over the place?
I'm going to disappoint you. Because I came only to discuss this cocoa matter. So these other matters you are talking about, I'm not sure I am prepared to talk about them. But laws are made for us. I don't think that we should be fed up with passage of laws. What is important is the enforcement of those laws. The Attorney General, I heard him yesterday say that under oral, and I'm trying to react to Braco's position that Dufour was, there was plea bargain or something.
No, it was the Attorney General himself said he's going for.
Yeah, but his submission yesterday was in relation to oral cases that have been brought to him. And he says that no deal, no bargaining, and he has not, as it were, done anything short of prosecuting all those people in court. So, and don't forget that these elections were also fought on the basis that when you come, you hold the previous government accountable. Because we had risen to a point where corruption could be smelled, it could be touched, and indeed, corruption was like a human being moving amongst all of us.
It could be won.
It could be won. So the people of this country, part of why we went to the polls, part of why people voted the way they voted, is to deal with these previous appointees who have been found to engage in those acts. So I think when the vice president visited him, the focus was what is happening with the oral cases. We are hearing, and I think they made reference to my General Secretary's statement that some people are attempting to cut deals. And let's also underline it. He didn't say they are cutting deals, attempting to cut deals. So, and an Attorney General needed to dispel those notions. The other issue of you saying that there are more laws, and sometimes you don't know about the law as a lawyer. that is your problem as a lawyer. You must.
No, I mean, not knowledge of the laws. It's about, so you have multiple legislations that basically do the same thing in different forms or the other. Even sometimes very simple offenses, something like possession of firearms. You can have multiple legislations. The sentence regime may be different. Some, in fact, there are those who have made the argument that particularly our criminal law, we may have to, because we are still using Act 30, we may need a new Act 29 Act 30. We may need an entirely new legislation that encompasses everything rather than what we currently have.
So now you are going to the realm of law reform, policy making that would feed into reforms. That I can agree with you, where we have to ensure that we merge laws that are similar, and then we can have one body of law. That will also even help the lawyer to know that this is the book I have to go for, this is the text I have to go for. Then, you are in your chambers, you have to read this, go and read this one, and make sense out of it. So, I agree, we can reform our laws and put them all together in one particular text.
Well, I'll give you the final word. I mean, second year of John Dramani Mahama, oral updates. We are trying to get a criminal process recovery bill in place, and AB makes the point about the campaign being fought on the corruption angle as well. I mean, whatever the AG is doing, it must start reaping some dividends as soon as possible. I don't think after the second year elapses and there's no conviction, I don't think Ghanaians will be patient anymore.
We won't accept any excuse again. Because we all agree, all of us in here agree, that corruption has been our nemesis as a nation. How people easily steal, and the system, because of the nature of the system, it makes it difficult to recoup or to recover, and also even to punish. It's a problem. And I have said it time and again that until we make corruption expensive, anybody can buy it. Cheap things are easily bought. But when they become expensive, then when you're engaging in it, you will think twice.
Okay.
So we believe that, there has to be harmonization of our laws. We should have comprehensive harmonization of all the pockets of laws, as you said, similar, almost with different degree of punishment and all that. I think we should be able to have a common law, like a common, if an anti-corruption law, for example, we should be able to harmonize, bring all of them together to have one anti-corruption law or legislation, so that all the institutions can glean from it. If you have a situation where some conflict, remember, this is the past issue.
Yes.
OSP took over the issue, got your person, no, it doesn't fall under my purview. So let us go to Yoko. And what happened? You see, so I agree that it's not just about coming up with some new enactment. The problem we have in this country is not just the laws we have, it has to do with the enforcement and even adjudication of cases. I think we waste time on a lot of cases. Like recently, I heard one of the National Service people has taken her matter to the Supreme Court to go in. These are things they do just to delay the legal process. I think within 6 months, we should be able to deal with those cases. Because, you see, let me tell you something that happened. When Ethiopia passed its retroactive law, the law that goes back 10 years, if you go back 10 years, whatever you've done, if you acquire a property and you cannot prove that you legitimately acquired it, the state will seize. People took it to the Supreme Court of Ethiopia. Do you know what the court said? It said corruption is a different problem, and therefore we need a different law.
Strike out that law. They'll strike out that law quickly.
He said it's a special canker, and therefore we need a special law to deal with it.
Okay.
So we talk about proactive laws, but they have gone back 10 years because they are seriously fighting corruption. But that's how we can fight corruption. We can't fight corruption with this, the laws that were handed to us by this British, this soft law. Somebody can go to court and even look at what has happened. Okay. And let me chip in this. You see, these days we are watching. If anybody go and steal cassava or plantain and they give him 6 years, 7 years, we'll do demonstration against the court and the judge. Let's be serious. Somebody will see now they mention the amount involved. They said I got this issue because 1,000 cedis was the amount. The sentence should be reduced from 15 years to 1 year. If the judges begin to give people who have stolen cassava, we will do demonstration against them.
Okay.
Which if there's equality before the law, let there be equality before the law.
Okay. Well, that's what time would allow us this morning. My guests have been Ebo Bachman, who just landed.
Charlie, let me. There's a man I promised to give him a shout out. He's a very special man,
Okay.
Mr. Theophilus Adotei. This is a special shout out to you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
He
you.
knows it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Theophilus, for watching TV3 always. Austin Brakopower is joining us in studio as well. He's a legal practitioner. Abraham Amaliba, Director General, National Road Safety Authority, also a legal practitioner as well, also joining us in the studio. We'll take a quick break.